Oh, well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to the Andrew Eborn Show with me, Andrew Eborn. And my special guest today is a testament to the power of perseverance and the healing force of storytelling, whether it's behind the microphone, in front of a camera, or meeting fans at convention. She brings authenticity, vulnerability, and heart to everything that she does. Her mission is indeed very simple, but may I say profound. It's to create stories that help others survive their own. I'm delighted to welcome to the Andrew Eborn Show, Erica Muse.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. I'm really looking forward to what questions you have for me today.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's very brave of you to come on because I know it's been a traumatic journey for you, but you've turned adversity into positivity. Let me take you back to your early childhood. Talk to me about those early childhood memories. What do you remember?
Oh gosh, I guess I didn't really get along amazing with my brother, and so entertainment was really the one time that we really connected, and so cartoons and video games were what I feel like really brought us together and let us share those moments that we otherwise had a little bit of difficulty sharing just because we were nothing alike, really. And so it was really nice to have that, and that made me want to be a part of that. So I guess I really kind of lived vicariously through cartoons and video games.
And what were the favorite cartoons growing up in those days?
Oh gosh, it's definitely started with Looney Tunes. I was obsessed with Tweety Bird. And then I guess for video games, it was probably like Mario. We started with the early Nintendo and playing those platformers together, and then Rayman and Earthworm Jim, and all of those old school games. Some Worms Armageddon on the computer. But
Uh,
yeah.
and we love it. And you stepped onto a stage at just 5 years old in those wonderful Christmas musicals. Tell me about those.
Oh gosh, that was really fun. So I went to a private school, so they didn't really have a lot of like creative curricular extracurriculars. They had like cheerleading and football, and that was pretty much it, unless you were active in the church. And so I did a lot of the different church plays and musicals and things, so that I could kind of, I guess, work that muscle. So I didn't experience other musicals and stuff until I got to public school in middle school suddenly, and I was thrust into a world where West Side Story existed. And I think that those early days and doing those Christmas musicals and stuff, I didn't realize just how much I pushed to do those. Was just that I really enjoyed the art of performing and the audience's reactions, and seeing that glimmer and that joy in someone's eyes when they're watching you. It's just there's nothing like it.
Now, you talk about escapism, if you like, and as a child, you suffered, as many children do, with bullying. Talk to me about how that bullying manifested itself.
Well, I had ADHD, so I think for a lot of people, I was just, for a lack of a better term, too much. I was simultaneously talking all the time, but a complete space case. So it was hard to focus. It was hard to follow somebody else's conversation. You're constantly thinking about what you're going to say next and not really listening to them. So as I've grown up, I've realized that I was definitely a part of the problem. But as a child, you don't understand or really feel or see those things. And so you don't know why people don't really want to be around you or don't really want to talk to you. And I went to a private school where red hair was seen as a sign of the devil. And that was voiced by some of my teachers. And I was also left handed when I was in kindergarten. So they would hit us with a ruler when we used our left hand and tell us that that was the mark of Satan. And so I had to write with my right hand. And it wasn't until high school that my parents realized why I switched hands. So there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that they just didn't know. My mom was working two jobs. My dad was locksmithing, working a lot of nights, and so there just wasn't a whole lot of communication there. They were young parents, and so that's just the name of the game sometimes. But yeah, it could be really brutal, especially being plunged from public school from private school into public school and not really knowing what that was going to mean.
And you sort of excuse the bullies in a way. You say it was understandable. There's no excuse for bullying. And I think the more that people can call out about that side and talk out in that sort of way, that the more that we can drive people to stop.
Yeah, I want people to understand that it is wrong and that they shouldn't do it. But I also don't want to, I guess, condemn people that have bullied just because usually it's because there's something else going on in their life. A villain is never inherently a villain. They think what they're doing is the right thing. Yeah, they're the bad guy in the story, but they're not doing it just for fun. They have a motivation and they think that what they're doing is right. So maybe in a way, bullies are like, hey, you're really different. That's not cool. Change. You know, they're trying to help you fit in with people just in the worst way imaginable. And they don't understand that maybe you don't have to fit in. And that's okay. But I don't want to just condemn people that have bullied, but I do want them to see that it is wrong and to change and to make those changes. But that doesn't mean bully them in return.
Oh no,
It
no,
means
absolutely.
opening
And
their
I
eyes.
think what's really important, and this is why they do victim statements in court and so on and so forth, is to help people understand the devastating, devastating effects that bullying can have on people.
Yeah, yeah, because I think when you're truly hurt, you never want to do that to somebody else.
Now, you used, if you like, books and ways of escaping. Do you remember a particular character that made you laugh out loud, or basically with whom you could associate to help you make that escape?
Well, I don't know if I associated with him, but Genie from Aladdin was absolutely an escape of mine. Absolutely loved it. Mrs. Doubtfire, I'd watch it on loop. Quest for Camelot, I guess I did associate a little bit with Kaylee, just kind of running off into the woods on her own adventure to rescue her family against all odds of feeling like everything else in the world is against her. Um, and and yeah, so I escaped into a lot of those films. Interestingly enough, all animation. I wasn't really into much live action growing up. But yeah, I mean, I would watch Mrs. Doubtfire or Quest for Camelot 15 times in one day. Because as an ADHD kid, like you get hyper focused on a thing that you enjoy and you will just stay there and live in it. And yeah, I remember my parents got me my own little it was like a Mickey Mouse tiny TV for my room because they were tired of me watching the same movie over and over in the kitchen.
Well, and it wasn't just watching. You obviously wanted to take part in other aspects as well. Your father's wild Halloween creations. They inspired you to pick up the needle and thread at the age of 12. What's the most ridiculous or hilarious costume disaster that created between the two of you?
Oh gosh, probably my first creation. And this is it's wild that my parents let me wear it, but if I explain the entire sequence, it'll probably be understandable. You have to pick your battles with a kid that can kind of go off the rails sometimes. Which again, I've gotten a lot better since I was young. But one of my first costumes that I made with my dad from scratch. Well, my very first was Pebbles. He was Fred from the Flintstones, and I was Pebbles. But then I went on to make this. We got this fabric that was like psychedelic, neon, leopard print, rainbowy, very Lisa Frank fabric that was on sale at Joann's, and we brought that home, and it was like this furry fabric. And I made this like two-piece suit with like little shorts and a big tail and a whole cowl, kind of like Catwoman, and like a little bell collar and a top, everything. So I basically made Catwoman out of this like psychedelic fur. And I was, I believe, 14 when I decided I was going to wear this to an event. And my parents were like, I don't know about this particular outfit on your age. And I changed into a swimsuit, a bikini, and was like, well, if I can't wear that, why can I wear this to Hurricane Harbor? I'll see you guys later. And they were just kind of like, okay, well, I suppose she's right. It's more fabric than she has left the house in before. So be it. But they did accompany me. So they went with me to the convention. My dad went as a Viking, and it was a great time. But looking back at those photos, I'm like, oh, Lord. And I fought this battle to wear this outfit.
Now, I mean, your life has been a roller coaster of emotion. You've spoken very publicly about it, and it helps others who watch this and maybe haven't had the courage to speak. But in 2015, on what should have been a joyful celebration, your life changed forever. You were drugged and abducted. Talk me through what happened.
Well, I was a bikini model for Sunbrew Bikini Team, and I was doing modeling. We were doing these different bikini contests in between other gigs for Harley Davidson. And I had just gotten the title of Miss Maverick Harley Davidson in 2015. And then a few months later was Emily Christine's birthday. So we were all, celebrating. And I don't ever drink when I'm working, but I was there for her birthday. So I wasn't working on this particular occasion, but I had gained a stalker that I was not aware of. And he had gone to 3 previous events, and he was going to the Sunbrew events, stalking me, and I did not know that. And basically, with the help of the bartender, to my knowledge, as the case has gone on, um, they slipped something into my drink and both of my friends. My friends left early that night feeling a little weird, and they didn't realize that I was too. And I was hanging out with the bikini team and not my friends from high school, I guess, at the time. Again, I think because I was a little out of it. So they were like, we're not really feeling great. They left. And then I got really, really loopy and gone. And I apparently, because a lot of this I still don't really remember, but the photographer that I worked with on the bikini team kind of has filled me in on the entire events of the evening. And he's called me crying on several occasions and apologized. And there's really no way he could have known. We were not close. We had done like a couple photo shoots together. He didn't know me on a personal basis. And he said that I just started walking up to people, asking them to take me home. And that was all I really seemed to be able to say. And basically, there was this guy, Corey Shane Harris, this big, scary biker guy, real burly, lots of facial hair, and kind of looked like a lumberjack covered in tattoos. And he said, "This is my girlfriend. She's just a little bit gone. She wants me to take her home now." And Brandon's like, "Okay, but I haven't really seen her with you until she was this gone, And he's like, "Yeah, no, this is my girlfriend. I need to get her home, but I don't have my car. It's her car. And obviously she can't drive. I don't know if she's cool with me driving her car. Do you know where she lives?" And Brandon kind of hesitantly was like, "I mean, yeah, I've picked her up before." And so he drove us to my apartment and helped Corey get me into the apartment because I was completely incoherent at this point. But Brandon was really uncomfortable because I was throwing up in the back seat and Corey was actively trying to make out with me. And that's what clued Brandon in. Like, that is not normal behavior. And Corey just kept acting like he was drinking too. And this was completely normal for us. And why is he being gross about it? And it really makes my skin crawl. But he helped us up to the apartment and then he didn't want to leave. Brandon was like, "I'm not comfortable with this. I still don't know you." And the guy started threatening Brandon. At this point, Brandon left. I understand. This is a very large gentleman. You don't know me that well. It very may well be my boyfriend. Like, that's not, it's pretty common, especially in the bikini models that work at Harley Davidson, So I understand why he backed down. But what took place after that is really, really dark and sometimes causes nightmares. And basically, when you get drugged with something like that, a horse tranquilizer, you completely black out and you're not really back until the next day. It's like 24 hours is just gone. And so basically, he carried me upstairs. I don't know everything that he did. I've had flashes from time to time. We don't need to get into that. But basically, I woke up next to a guy I had never seen before in my life, to my knowledge. And I didn't know what day it was, nothing. So I looked at my phone. A whole day had gone by. And I was like, "Who are you?" And he was like, "Babe, what do you mean? What's wrong with you?" And he's playing along. So I started playing along just because it was like 13 going on 30, Like, you just wake up next to a guy you've never seen and you're just like, and you think it's you at first. Like, your worst fear is that you just suddenly can't remember your life. Like, did I make these choices? But then it didn't take very long for I turned and my clothes were neatly folded into a little cube in the corner of the room. I've never slept naked because I'll have nightmares where I go to things naked. And so that was like, I wouldn't do that, And so that was weird. And then I checked my phone and I had called my mom at some point, like around 8 a.m. So a few hours earlier, I had called my mom. I didn't remember making that phone call. And I had a message from her that said, that voicemail didn't make much sense. Are you okay? And then I was like, okay, something's really wrong here. Like I started getting a gut feeling, but I still wasn't really thinking straight. And my gut reaction was to go take a shower. And so the next time I came to, because I had like another little blackout period, I was just sitting in a cold shower, like just sitting there staring at the wall. And I got out and he was in the kitchen. And I came downstairs and I was like, hey, babe, how's it going? And he was like, we ran out of pizza. And I was like, oh, okay. And I went into the kitchen and he had completely cleared out my fridge. He had drank like half a case of water. It was bizarre. And I was like, and because I looked at my phone and only like a day and a half had passed. And I said, well, babe, I need to go back to the bar to get my car because I'm going to need to go to work or we're not going to be able to pay rent. So I was just like playing along. And he was like, okay, yeah, let's get a ride to the bar. And he called us an Uber. And when we got to the bar, I just ran out the back door. And I got in my car and I drove to the hospital and I had them process a rape kit. And made a lot of discoveries that were rough. So that was that experience, basically. And then it took, oh gosh, at least 3 years before I heard anything after filing charges and going to court. And we had to call him and have him on speakerphone. And the attorney asked him if he understood what I was accusing him of. And he was like, yeah, I understand, but that's, it's my girlfriend. She's just having a difference of opinion. And she said, if you could tell her anything right now, what would you tell her? And he said, let's meet back up at the bar and talk about it. And I said, you want me to go back to the bar where I'm accusing you of drugging me and abducting me to talk about it? And he's like, yeah, of course. And it was just hearing his voice on that phone. I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a movie, like the similarities gave me chills. Nightcrawler.
Right.
It was very much like that, trying to convince me that these were normal things. And so, I mean, as soon as he invited me to the bar, I was crying. The attorney was like, this is normal. She's like, muted it. She's like, I don't want him to hear this, but I need you to keep the conversation going. And basically, I talked him into incriminating himself. And once we had all that, it still took the court system is pretty broken when it comes to these cases because the counties don't even communicate with each other unless someone is declared serial, which takes years to declare. So before he eventually was brought in, he was picked up on gambling in another county, but because my charge wasn't in their system, he posted bail and got out. Then he attacked 3 other girls before he was eventually brought in. And actually arrested. And that's because one of them, her parents were lawyers. And she was kind enough to reach out to me and she helped me a lot because it was for the first time I was able to really talk about everything with someone and them truly understand. And it was really nice to have that where we really understood each other. She's actually ended up moving here. It moved in with her sister. And we still talk from time to time when we need to talk to someone that would understand that. But he got out on medical leave for a medical issue and died 2 days later of cancer. I don't know if that was his comeuppance or if he did this because he knew he was dying of cancer. I don't know, and I never will. But yeah, it's rough because we never really got the closure that we wanted. We never really took him to court. We never got to see any of that. He wasn't in jail for very long before that happened. So that's that story, I guess. Yeah.
And clearly it affects you today. And a lot of people seeing this, and it's very brave of you to talk out, will be tackling their own demons, their own dark moments. You've said that just making it to the next day is something to be very proud of. And absolutely, for others, somebody listening right now and struggling with their own darkness, what would you say to them?
Oh gosh. To think through it, sometimes it can be scary, but the only reason I'm able to talk about this now is because I sometimes sit down and face it. It's not something you want to do. You want to clear your calendar for probably a couple days for something like this, but you want to sit down and face it, and that will help you. If you feel like it can take you to a dark place where you self-harm, have someone with you that you trust, that isn't going to take you further into that tunnel when you feel like you went too far, someone that can bring you back. For me, I just turn to my animated films that make me happy. I will just watch Disney movies, and I still do it if I wake up from a nightmare, a night terror, or whatever. I'm just like, well, today's a Disney day, and I'll watch a bunch of Disney movies. Because that brings me back to my fun, creative me, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to face the day, or I'll watch something motivational. Will Smith's Brick by Brick. Oh, that will make you do something every time you watch it. He's just an incredible inspirational speaker. And so you just have to remember what else is out there in this world that made that darkness not win. Like, it can't win. You know what I mean? Like, you got to face it and then realize there's so much more to this, because otherwise they win, and you don't want that. You don't want to give up on everything else here, because there's incredible, amazing, beautiful things to experience in the world. That I hate to say it, can make that worth it. That's how I have to look at it. So that's how I look at it, and it makes you see that beauty all the more when you've seen the darkness. So I think that's a great way to handle it. And I know some people, they judge themselves when horror movies help them deal with a traumatic experience. That's okay. Do that deep dive, because there's these weird little nuances and these crazy films and entertainment things that really can help you with these dark moments. Just like I said, do that with someone that you know will pull you out of it if you take yourself too far, because sometimes you don't know when that's going to happen either. So you want to do this safely, but yeah, it's okay if horror movies are what helps you. By all means.
And do,
I know.
do you find that horror movies trigger you?
Well, so I had an interesting conversation with Cheyenne, where she's like, I don't know why. I never used to like horror movies, but recently I'm just like, I watch it and I'm like, man, things could have been worse. And you see kind of the dark comedy in it, or I guess the silver lining. I don't know. But there's a lot of different reasons for that, a lot of different things, a lot of different chemicals that fire in your brain. And maybe it does help you. And so I have noticed where I go through little stints where it's like, oh, okay, this is fine right now. But I myself am more of like a cute, like fun, good vibe movie type person, but I totally get it. And I don't think it's weird if that helps you through something like that.
And after everything you endured, you found your way back to performance through a reunion with the voice actor Josh Martin. When did you first realize that giving voice to anime characters and stories could actually help you heal your own?
Well, I always wanted to voice in cartoons as a child, and my parents were like, "Those are celebrities," and I said, "Okay, well then I'll be a celebrity." And I started trying to get into like on-screen film and stuff. That's why I did that one movie back in 2008 when I was in high school. I was trying my hand at it, but life kept throwing a lot of crazy things at me, and I was just like, I need to get a regular full-time job. I need to focus. I need to get my life together. And my dad got hit by a truck, and then, I was abducted, and like a lot of crazy things happened. I kind of shut down. I became a bit of a recluse, but I never stopped cosplaying and going to conventions. I just made sure I was always with friends, but conventions were my escape. Dressing up, like when I was younger, how I didn't really get along with anybody in school. But at conventions, like the weirder you were, the cooler it was. So those were my escape. And so I never stopped going to those. But I had con blues like nobody's business. Like the con would end and it would be like a bad breakup. But I never stopped going to those and making costumes and using that creative, flexing that creative muscle. I never stopped crafting. I just stopped using my voice. Um, and you know that happens. And then I tried to use it a bit when I was working in sales. I started like singing for a band, but the band fell apart and stuff just happens. But when I saw Josh at a convention, and I had been doing music videos for him, which I fell into from my costuming and stuff. I did music videos for him for a few years. Saw him at a convention, and I said, "Wait, you're the voice of Majin Buu?" And he goes, "I told you that for years." And I go, "I never Googled it. I didn't. I thought you were joking." Because he would just do this high pitched voice after shows, you know, and I was like, man, that's good. But I didn't know it really was, which sounds dumb now, but I was not an internet person. I wasn't really online much. Um, and and so we had this fun talk, and we always had camaraderie where we'd give each other crap, you know. And I was like, well, if you could do that, I can do that. I was joking. And he was like, oh, well, my best friend runs a class. And so I went to class. I took my first voiceover workshop, and oh God, I loved it. And I felt like I was just living for the first time in a long time outside of, you know, walking the stage for cosplay contests. And I was like, I could do this like as a job. I could feel this way regularly, you know. And then when I really started getting into it, I started doing some small indie projects. And then I was still guesting at conventions as a cosplayer. But I occasionally would end up with these young people that would come up to my booth, and they had heard some of my indie voiceover, and they'd be like, oh, I really loved what you did with this character. You have to know, like, I escape into these games. And I was like, that's how I feel. And then like getting to be a part of that, oh man, it's a game changer. Like, it brings tears to your eyes. And so just hearing from a few people when I started out was like, okay, this is something that I have to do. It feels incredible. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I want to bring characters to people that they need, you know? That's what I want to do. And sometimes that means the comic relief character, sometimes that needs the villain, because again, you don't have the light without the dark. And I don't really mind which side I'm on if I'm bringing a full creation, full round to somebody who needs it, you know? And there's always going to be somebody that needs that. So I'm always going
absolutely.
to work on stories.
And the voices are wonderful. A lot of people putting a face, the real face, as you say, with your connection beforehand. When you actually hear the voice, you say, "Oh my goodness, you do the voice for that character." Talk me through some of the characters you've done, and maybe give us some of those voices.
Oh gosh. So one of my like favorite characters is absolutely Ivy from Aphmau. So it's a show for kids, which just heartwarming. I love doing stuff for kids. And when they come up to the booth all excited, I die, but in the best way. Um, but Ivy, and she is an evil character most of the time. But the good thing is, Ivy is grounded. She is, as you'd say, the bully in high school. She's the Valley Girl, but she's also just chaotically misunderstood. You know, she doesn't always understand how bad what she's doing is, obviously, because she chooses to do it. And she thinks that in the long run, it's going to work out. And so it's that suspension of disbelief that's really fun to play in, and making her that evil character. But then there's also, I love that there's the moments where she realizes it and she has to come around and she has to be like, okay, so you're my friend now, Aphmau? Okay. I realize that I might have been a problem before. You know, and she has those moments, but she's normally a very chaotic Valley Girl. And I also joke that she brings the core friend group in Aphmau closer together a lot of the times. When they start bickering amongst themselves and falling apart, I'll kind of hack the server and start blowing up people's houses and stuff. And then they have to unite against a common enemy. So sometimes, you know, I'm the one that holds everybody together just through chaos.
I know,
But her
and chaos does it. So give us some of the voices then. Let's give something in character so people can hear it.
So one of my favorite lines for her is, "Get a new joke, Michi," or "If it didn't explode, you didn't do it right." You know, she's just a Valley Girl. I also like, oh, I think he's kind of cute. You don't go here. And that's like, I would. One of them turned into like this big buff mech thing that was destroying everything, and I decided I was going to go flirt with him. Terrible idea. Uh, but again, hilarity ensued. And then one of them was one of the guys walked into the girl's bathroom not thinking. He was like trying to catch up with a girl and didn't realize where she had walked into. And so I was in the bathroom and I was like, you don't go here. But yeah, it's just a Valley girl. And then another one that I like is Emil from I Shall Survive Using Potions. He's a little boy who's joined a group called the Eyes of the Goddess, led by a girl who can create any potion anywhere, and she's helping and saving these villages that are like under attack by soldiers doing the wrong thing, and she can literally like create a potion in their stomach that makes them ill, so they like leave their posts, and then the kids run around and like fix things. Stuff like that. And Emil, he sounds more like a little boy, so he's like, no way. Oh, I don't think so, Belle. That sounds like a rough idea. And so he's a little bro, and I love being a little bros. And I have a few of those. I have little bit characters in like Daily Life of the Immortal King and stuff where they're little boys, or Goal Shoot to the Future, which is a soccer anime. Again, I'm a bully. It's kind of fun because I can do my own voice of making fun of bullies when I was little is also what's happening in my head. So I become the bully and I'm like, what if they sounded like me? They would hate that. And I'm like, mud boy. And it's like, it's these little dude characters and it's great. I love voicing bullies and just like pretending I'm doing my own voice making fun of them.
And
And
it's
sometimes that's
fascinating
really well.
from that point of view. As you say, it's that sort of coping mechanism, if you like, because the torture that you went through on a daily basis when you were being bullied, and actually now gives you a chance to sort of reverse that, doesn't it? Because you're voicing those bullies, but at the same time, that's your revenge.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to get to be the bullies and be like, this is ridiculous. This is how you sounded.
So, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be looking more at your glittering career. But for now, Erica Muse, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Erica Muse. Thank you so much for coming out to watch the Andrew Eborn Show. I just had the most frank and full discussion with Andrew. It's been absolutely wonderful. Just a full deep dive on my career and what motivates me to do what I do and everything behind me, I guess. So come and hear about me in the full.